welcome to the Dice Box and Dunwall by Night. Unfortunately, we did have to skip the recording from last session because my OBS is made of bullshit sometimes, and it's been a while between sessions, so we're easing ourselves back into it with the basic reminder of our group of rat queens here. Some more rat than others. Were investigating a warehouse where they had reason to believe that a cult was operating, one that incidentally wanted to kidnap Jerrica's daughter if they hadn't already. And they were going to investigate, get some documentation, do some eavesdropping, and preferably not kill anybody. They held to that, sort of. It was just that Viola's acting chops weren't really convincing anybody, and despite the fact that she probably could have illusioned her way out of whatever bullshit and got herself into the warehouse without arousing suspicion at the same time, Delphine decided to step in with swarms of blood flies. Many, many swarms of blood flies, which got which got the local constabulary, including at least one tall boy, stomping into the general vicinity of the place because obviously there's some kind of smuggling from Karnaka going on in there, and we need to look this up and also quite clearly quarantine it. They managed just about to get in, grab some bits of paper, get some information about what was happening next, and get out. They had a conversation with an old friend of Viola's, who managed to give them the indication that one of the weirder local families of, good standing, well, old money anyway, were having a sort of a fete to welcome their new, their basically their little act of charity from Morley. But most of that was just murmuring from below stairs, who were, talking to people who were doing the prep for everything. And Jerrica mostly seethed. A lot of seething in that corner. But they did manage to send little Mina a message via Fluffy. Fluffy was told not to talk to Mina, which disappointed Fluffy rather a lot. But, well, Fluffy thought that this would cheer the little girl up. But
so did I, but I got outvoted.
Well, mother knows best.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, by this point, Fluffy is probably returning, and Emmy is heading back in case somebody needs her, kind of thing. And I think y'all had about decided that, despite it being late, it was still possible that you were going to catch somebody at Lady Hepzibah's warehouse, so you could hand over the documentation you did manage to grab, see if you could, see what happens with payment, given what resulted from your little outing, and see potentially about getting yourself some kind of invitation and tidy up for the fete tomorrow. So over to you. Yeah, Fluffy is sort of being back in the window.
There you are.
And telepathically, I talked to her anyway. Not much. Just said hi. Just so she'd know I was special.
Good. And I'm just gonna reach over and squish.
Happy corking.
Jerrica stares at Fluffy.
But didn't hear that, because mind to mind.
Mission success, by the way.
Good.
Excellent.
Happy
Can
Raven,
you-
hop, 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 hop.
Ask Fluffy if she was looking healthy.
I can hear you.
You can talk to Fluffy just fine. You just can't do the whole. Fluffy understands just fine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Fluffy,
She looked okay.
thank you.
Didn't like her dress very much. It was puffy.
Just looks over at Jerry. Yeah, she's your kid, all right.
And just head tilt, saying if Jerrica has any more questions.
Jerrica's looking elsewhere, the window.
Well, Fluffy is on the windowsill, so it's sort of
Past Fluffy.
yeah. Notices it getting looked past. It's just sort of hop onto the floor out of Jerrica's line of sight, and then hop, 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 and then flutters up to and telepathically, she's brooding. I didn't want to get in the way. I'm pretty sure wings going gets in the way of brooding. Yeah, Delphine is just giggling for no apparent reason, which is probably kind of expected from Delphine by this point.
By this point, yes. But at least she's giggling and not, proclaiming someone food. Anyway, if we're going to see Lady Hepzibah tonight, and we really should, because the more time she has to do whatever it is she may need to do, if she's going to do anything about any of this, more time she has, the better. We should probably head out. Well, now.
Yes, we should.
So, I'm going to go take the stairs.
Jerrica follows.
I'm not interested in obtaining any more shoes.
Seemingly deliberating for a moment as Jerrica leaves.
And Fluffy is still just sitting on her shoulder.
I was first out the door. I would even been waiting for Delphine. So Delphine will figure it out.
Yeah, Delphine is deciding. Just take the stairs.
And yeah, after a bit of a show, I'm gonna let Fluffy out the window and take the stairs.
So wow, look, Delphine is on the ground level this time.
This is the second time in tonight that I've done this. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna just continue the anonymous mid-tier servant act, basically.
Yeah, and you can pull that off fairly easily, and it's the right sort of, it's a little late in the day for that, but not too much. You could have just been, like, held up at whatever job you have, or you could have been detoured by the mass amount of noise and hoorah going on over in that general direction.
God, have they set fire to the place yet?
Yes.
Oh, there's a smoke. There's a fucking smoke cloud and everything. Great.
Smoke cloud, and that end of the horizon is a greasy, smoky orange.
Oh, that smell's going to linger. Though I'm not really sure you will be able to tell much longer. It blends in.
Considering the other smells.
Anyway, thankfully you're heading away from that particular warehouse, and eventually you reach the door, which by this time you can get open more or less on your own. On one level, it's maybe surprising how quiet the area, the main ballroom, as it were, is, but on the other hand, probably not so much, because This is around the time when people would be at work. There are a few people, ones that are just starting out. And they're still what passes in this area for guardsmen going, and they're shooting you guys some fairly dirty looks. So clearly they know something happened. We're guessing you want to see the lady.
We have information that she's going to want.
I think most of what she's gonna want is what the fuck. But we'll go let
Beyond
her,
that.
We'll go let her know you're here.
I'm gonna keep a lid on the whistling this time. Not be creepy. Try to not be creepy.
Despite your shoulder raven, you're doing a little better at that. Not the unnaturally white hair and not the creepy whistling. You just sort of standing. Although there is still a tray of, a table with trays of food, and there's those cream-filled things that you liked so much the last time.
I might be inching towards them.
One of the remaining guards is like, oh, just eat the damn things. The inching looks stupid and you're not being very stealthy.
Drop all subtlety, go over and just yoink a bunch of them. He said, go get some food. These are mine now.
Quietly from one of the ersatz nobles in training. At least it's not people she's turning into food this time. Word has apparently got around.
And how utterly creepifying I am. Great.
Well,
I
everybody
mulched
loves
4 people.
Everybody loves a good story, and that's a good if creepy story. What are you gonna do? And,
Take hella pride in it.
Yeah. And anyway, well, creepy rat queen lady is stuffing her face and her pockets and probably Fluffy with dessert things. The guard comes back down the stairs and goes, "Be respectful and don't make any sudden moves. She ain't happy." But go on up.
Thank you.
And to be fair,
Yes.
to be fair, you can probably tell that he didn't have to give you that warning. That was him trying to be nice.
I did take with me the rest of the chocolate or whatever it was, the brownie things that
Yes,
Emmy
brought
over.
I'll you didn't say you did, but you didn't.
I didn't.
Say you didn't.
And I
Now-
did specifically want to.
Now we roll the hand of fate.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I'll go ahead and open the package a little and take a couple out and offer them to the guard.
They look at you, but they also kind of cut eyes to Delphine. They're not entirely sure that they want to trust food coming from any of the three of you.
Yeah. Fair point.
I'm assuming Jerrica's just heading up the stairs at this point because she
I'm
does
Yep.
strike me
following
as-
because
I'll after that little exchange, I'll quickly follow after the two of them.
And yeah, it's the tidy but very crammed with things office. And Lady Hepzibah giving you this look. So, does anyone want to tell me anything about an infestation of Karnakan blood flies?
A distraction that got out of hand, but then she produces the stolen papers.
It might have been nice, but on the other hand, we were kind of hoping for some names and faces that we could round up and ask some questions later. But that's not going to happen because we don't know what else was in the building, which, as far as my intelligence tells me, is now burning.
My daughter was in the building, and we know she's now at the Gallenfort's manor.
We will get to that in a moment, thank you very much. Leave us simply say that most of this is not directed at you. Looks at Delphine. You. Come here.
I'm walking forward.
Grab. Yoink! If you're going to cause swarms of things as a distraction, how about things native to the region next time?
As you say.
Let's go. Tell me everything. I've heard some bits and pieces. I want to hear it from you.
Was she talking? Sorry,
All
DM,
of
just
you.
for clarity.
All of
All of
you
us?
now.
Got it.
Well,
We-
it does glance over at Viola and goes, let's start very quickly with you need to learn how to play the poor girl. You did a wonderful job learning how to play the rich girl, but you need to be able to put it aside from time to time.
Agreed. We approached the building. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, we were detected. These two vanished. I did my best. And the guards saw through that and began to drag me inside. Decided the best course of action at that point was to continue to play the part, continue to play the part for lack of a better solution.
It's what I would have done. I don't think the blood flies helped you very much.
No, it was that was the reason for my shouting and carrying on a bit, because no one is going to be willingly dragged somewhere to be whatever done. So I thought some commotion was padding the part a little, but I thought, okay, well, at least I'll be inside.
Can I give you
Delphine?
Can I
Oh,
give you
yes.
a word of advice before we next time you're trying to hide on street corners where there might be a gentleman, try playing a lady of the evening. That way, even if they do see through your protestations that nothing is amiss, you can quite easily translate being dragged somewhere into an argument over price.
Very good point. I was operating very quickly under
I
a fair bit of
understand,
pressure,
but that's
so
why
I will remember this. Thank you.
I'm offering you that as a new card for your deck.
Greatly appreciated. Anyway, it was at this point, Delphine, turning it over to.
It
I
had
clearly
to be
didn't
blood
analyze.
flies.
I had been on a bit of a tear about things. I'd gotten my papers back, and the impulse took over.
Should I be glad that it wasn't several swarms of small bipedal lizards the size of chickens?
Mm-hmm. That was an option. I just...
Unfortunately,
hit the first one.
Yes, unfortunately, again, native to the region. You know they crack down on that sort of importation.
Considering what blood flies do left unchecked. Yeah, I understand the situation properly.
We wanted that warehouse. A wonderful setup as what little we've been able to gauge. Down in what used to be the cellars. They've turned the whole thing into a labyrinth. You get someone down there and they're not finding anything of any worth, and there's all sorts of blind alleys to lead them into, and never heard from again. And now it's burning to the ground. It's very depressing.
Um,
Hang on.
I can
Jerrica,
offer further investigations into other locations if you'd like.
It doesn't have the same amenities. I'm sorry, I'm just,
You're flipping us through maps.
well, I'm showing you, if this will let me, what you actually missed out on.
oh, let me zoom out then.
Welcome to the basement from hell.
Yep, full on,
Oh,
full on labyrinth. Very few,
ow.
very few ways to get to where you were supposed to be trying to get, which would have been technically there if you'd known to go deep enough to actually look for it, because you'd start up here.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I had
Oh, boy.
such things planned, and then there were
Oh, dear.
and then there were blood flies. Oh well, never mind.
Oh,
But yeah, that's why Lady Hepzibah wanted it.
Completely understandable. This is a hell of a place.
Yes,
it's
I
amazing.
took great pains in designing it, and then it never got used, so I was going to show it to you. Damn it!
It's beautiful, and hopefully it can be repurposed.
Oh, I have some
Thinking that.
thoughts
Save
about
it for
that
other things.
probably in a sort of a D&D. Yeah, I have thoughts now. I have
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Okay. Jerrica, did you want to step in here at all? Where?
Jerrica clears her throat a bit. They took my daughter once they got word that the city guard was oncoming, and they took her to the Gallenfort's manor. We spoke with a friend of Delphine's.
No, that was Emma.
Yeah.
Emmy, that was my friend.
Oh, no, different.
You are skipping ahead a little bit, because you say, I mean, you demonstrate that you came in with paperwork. So, I'm getting a timeline here. I'm getting failed attempt at beggar woman. Again, prostitute next time.
We went in through the window into the office, and that was about as much as we could search before the guards were getting very close. And when we had gotten word that they were taking Mina out, and we looked more into that direction, but they had taken her by electric tram.
Shame you didn't have more time. As I say, might have found a fair bit more had you had the opportunity to wander around in the cellars. As far as I can understand it, most of their proper operations didn't happen on the ground level. Oh well. So you snuck in, grabbed papers, heard someone being hustled out. I take it looked out in just enough time to see a transport with a young one in it, heading away. Repaired to someplace somewhat safer before the guards turned up to see if you could get a name. Got a name. Called in one of your contacts to try to confirm a few things. Is that the timeline we're working with so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. What did the friend have to say about the Gallenforts?
They're cultists, and they're having a party tomorrow to introduce the child they've adopted.
That must be a below stairs rumor. That's not what
Yes.
that's not what the above stairs is saying exactly. It's along that theme, but it's more of it's what they call a silver fete. you come in and you put a silver in the bowl at the door. There's whist parties and that sort of thing happening throughout the manor, and there's a certain amount of charitable donation going on in amidst the betting to, in this case, supposedly assist the Morley refugees.
Huh.
I just know what they tell themselves so they can get to sleep at night.
Hmm.
So it is possible that there's going to be introductions made, but again, even that's very clearly a smokescreen. The guest list is a little bit odd. A lot of the names I've seen thus far, not all of them, obviously, but the ones who are more liable to linger than the rest of the expected names, usually the ones with interesting ties and a few occasionally literal skeletons in the closet. You know, the ones you look at a bit funny and wonder if overseers weren't going to have words at some stage because of certain leanings.
That's no surprise.
So, if they were going to, and that's the other situation. If below stairs is saying they're going to announce this new member of the family, it's possible that they're being charitable to them above stairs, because if they were planning on doing anything to this child, they wouldn't introduce them to the less skeevy members of society. So I have a feeling that that's going to wait until a little bit later in the evening, when the more reputable guests have done their duty and departed. I mean, unless the little one has any talents that you know about, she might be brought on as some manner of entertainment.
Nothing that would interest rich bastards. She sings sometimes. I don't know
That's enough.
how they would judge it by
that's enough.
Dunwall standards.
The quality doesn't matter. It's the spectacle. Well-dressed little Morley refugee making good. It's a glowing example of what they intend to do for the poor, dispossessed young ones in the wake of the war. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm simply saying that that's how it works.
Lies and delusions, lies and delusions.
Exactly. So that might be their excuse for having her there in the beginning of the evening. And nobody's going to question where this little one goes off to, because there's moderately well presented and established places for orphans, that sort of thing. And they wouldn't really think very much about where this young Morley child went. It's just she was there, she did some singing, and now she's no longer there. But those who are interested in her being there, they'd probably linger a little bit over their cards and their brandy, and whatever happens after that, oh. Yeah, it starts flipping through the papers. Some of this is interesting. Still a little miffed about the building, but I have paperwork. And pulls a bag out and starts counting out gold. 3 for each of you.
It's
I do have Emmy brought some of one of my personal favorites, and there was enough left. I brought it to both to share as to with someone of like mind, but also as a bit of a could be considered a bit of a peace offering. But and if you would,
Share them with Sophie if you must, but I'm not going
Ah.
to deprive of favourites that might keep.
Fair.
I see you seem to largely disengage from home. Those few tattered strands that you want to keep hold of, I'm hardly going to insinuate myself into them.
Speaking of Sophie, we obviously, given the circumstances, given what we know, the three of us are planning on attending in some fashion this event. We brought the information to you.
You're getting the sound of well manicured fingernails on the tabletop as you're saying we intend to. Which is you might want to stop that right this fucking second.
As soon as the
Yeah, because it's a. I was waiting for a question to happen.
Can you get us invitations of some form into the party, given Delphine and I have somewhat more of a trouble getting in, myself especially, compared to Viola and her illusions?
No, not at all. Could you step over here a moment? Gesturing to Jerrica.
Jerrica steps up and
she doesn't touch, but she sort of holds hand under the chin, just sort of looking her from side to side. No, she's got a good hand with makeup, and she probably need a good 20 minutes, and she has this special solution that helps unsnarl the hair. Smells of figs. It's quite nice. But she can produce wonders, as you've seen. Gestures to Delphine. The question you want to be asking me, that was close enough to it, but I will respond with a question in kind. Would you be willing to do a little job for me while you're there?
Absolutely.
I'd like to, but my daughter...
It's not that much out of your way. Particularly not if you're infiltrating the party from from the earlier stages.
Give it consideration.
You're muted.
You were muted.
Just glares at Jerrica in a say yes fashion.
Jerrica's staring at Hepzibah.
She's looking back. She's waiting.
All right.
I think you might feel a little bit silly in a moment because it's somewhat a bit more in your skill set, and B, somewhat what you were after doing anyway. One of these gentlemen is a little bit more of a nuisance than the rest. He's not heading the Gallenfort's gala, but he's got a little bit too much wealth and power to be backing people with ideas the likes of that. Basically, I want two things. Thing one, there's a particularly lovely little bauble in one of the upstairs rooms that I wouldn't mind having in my possession. And one Lord Cyril de Montfort I want dead. Incidentally, before you give me that look again, Miss Ritter, might want to have a look at something. and hands over to Jerrica a document. That document indicates that Lord Cyril de Montfort is one of the primary board of director types for the concern for which Jerrica was out wailing when her bits of bullshit happened.
Huh. Well, he's not as if he was on the ship himself, but I'm not gonna shed a tear.
Where do you think some of these people got their ideas?
Fair enough. I'm not arguing against it by any means.
Just for obvious reasons, you're probably not going to want to disrupt the party with too much in the way of blood and screaming, so I leave it to yours. The theft is probably more for the two of you, since I imagine Miss Red is going to have her hands full. That's another 3 gold job. Yours is 5. With a bonus if you manage it, let's say, quietly. Which is really just a bit of added incentive for you, really, because you're not going to want to disrupt the party until you do your joint extracurricular rescue mission. But we need to get you, all of you, really, because illusions are all well and good,
But they can fail.
They can fail, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they have a certain time limit?
Yeah, and they also require a certain amount of effort.
Let's keep the effort that you have to a minimum. That's another reason I suggested you save those bits for young Sophie, because she is probably going to be pulling some overtime.
Very good point. Thank you. Very wise.
Your Raven. Can it be something more carried about by the nobility?
I could go through any variety of creatures. Take your pick.
It's not so much my pick. I'm not in charge of some of the fads and fashions that go through the upper crust, but currently there seems to be a trend towards very small, rather fluffy dogs that can fit into some of the larger handbags. To be fair, Viola knows that one. It's like
a Pomeranian.
Pomeranians or Chihuahuas, or Pomeranians are higher class because they take more grooming, and of course that means they need people to do the grooming, and the more leisure you show you have, and the more work that you have to hire out, the higher status you are. So yeah, it's purse poodles, basically.
Purse poodles. In which case, pardon me, Delphine, and kind of and you see 3 small images side by side. 3 purses, 3 dogs. One's a Pomeranian, one's a Chihuahua, and one's a little teacup poodle, just with their heads all sticking up on the bush, just sort of like, take your pick.
And you've got Fluffy looking at this little Pomeranian and going, Fluffy.
True, that one has my vote.
That one does have potential, and though if we wanted to stick bird-wise, I'm going to channel that briefly and see about turning Fluffy into a owl, akin to basically a smaller version of the ones showcased in various museums.
or the little tiny, because they're scops owls. They're basically the size of a tennis ball.
Yup, basically just compressing it. Yeah, because exotic owl, they like exotic thing, but not giant, terrifying version of it.
You mean kind of like the owl that what's his face had, and later on in Harry Potter?
About that big. They're teeny
like
tiny and ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, hang on.
It's basically like Pidge.
Yeah.
That's deranged little pinball.
That's what it was.
Pigwidgeon. But
yes, Pigwidgeon. Yes, thank you.
But actually, to be fair, scops owls. You look at the little tennis ball like things, and let me see if I can actually do this in the. That is a link to show you what a scops owl actually looks like. They're angry-looking little fuckers.
Yeah, so I basically condensed Fluffy into that.
Fluffy looks more offended than usual. I mean, even for that face, it's just.
Then telepathically, Fluffy, I'm just demonstrating we have options.
Thanks, I hate it.
Thank God that's only telepathic and no more raven squawking.
Yeah, that's why. You get the impression that's why Fluffy's offended. I couldn't be a parrot.
Ooh. And channeling again. And we've gone full like red macaw with all the rainbow feather looking things.
Hello.
It's not very subtle, is it?
It's a noble's party. She can start a whole new trend.
I suppose that's true.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
Dollars and donuts. Somehow the macaws in this place also have the cockatoo crests. So
Probably.
this is happening.
Viola is actually quiet, very quietly, just the singing.
And clearly thrilled with this, flutters to a nearby corner of desk and hopping up and down, tweeting the Chocobo theme music.
Oh, good God.
I take it your little friend there is happy with this?
Far more pleased than by the owl form, yes.
Well, for all the seeing in the dark and the head rotation thing, I imagine it must be a little bit limiting not to be able to say anything.
And Delphine's just waiting for a for some expletive and the regent being involved.
No, it's too busy celebrating the pretty feathers. Just tell Sophie that your accessories are in red.
So you'll get invitations for us as nobility.
I think so. I think we can. I think it's giving Sophie a challenge. Let her know that the better she does with you, the better her bonus is going to be. I hope you have patience, Miss Redder.
As much as I need to.
I kind of hope that she can manage to not have to bind you up too tight in a corset.
that actually coming out of Delphine's face.
Not that you wouldn't look fetching, but
Sorry, I don't think she's entirely used to that.
Everyone needs to expand their skill set a little bit from time to time.
That's very true.
But
considering what's at stake, I think Jerrica is amenable to just about anything at this point, and I don't blame her.
Well, depending on how tightly you need to be laced, I think we have a few that allow the concealment of a lot more knives than you're used to.
And there's a look on Delphine's face that's kind of terrifying.
No, I don't necessarily need to conceal a weapon, but having a spare is always useful. And my pickbox.
Well, that's what cleavage is for.
Of course.
Dead kind of blink,
That's
blink,
out of character, and probably from Fluffy.
blink at just how deadpan that. Okay, I didn't know you kept things there on a regular basis, but sure, makes sense. But
Who wouldn't? I mean, a gentleman isn't going to put their hands down there, and anyone who isn't a gentleman is going to expect to get their face clawed off. Anyone who's close enough to try to reach for anything down the front of someone's shirt is asking for a thumb in the eye, and is close enough to make it a very distinct possibility. Why wouldn't you hide anything there?
At that point, they're close enough for even the fun things like needles.
Is there anything else we should expect within the manor?
I'm going to have to do a little bit more in the way of looking through my various reports on that one. Main reason I wasn't starting anything about that now is that I'm going to have plenty of time to go over my notes while you all are being made look appropriately presentable.
Fair enough.
You're muted again.
Sorry, out of character. I can't quite recall what information Emmy gave us on that line, but I will go ahead and.
She didn't so much on what. I mean, they're a wealthy bunch. If I recall, Emmy said they're a wealthy bunch, and there's a certain amount of mechanical, clockworky kinds of
right.
Jindosh prototypes, basically.
And actually, yeah, and I get that reference now.
And I got my own notes on that. Emmy was interested in going in too, and she was interested in the fate of a mason, I think it was, that she knew, and who's probably dead.
More than likely, yes. But,
right.
So if you want to,
yeah, I'll pass all that on to Hepzibah before taking my leave.
No, this is why we do these things.
Sorry, Emma said there were some clockwork things, wealthy, a little odd to say the least.
But you need certain connections to get that kind of thing.
And Emmy was wanting to insert herself in all of this as well. I think she said she was handling that.
She mentioned a friend of hers that disappeared, if I recall.
Mason, I believe it was. That she was interested in finding out the fate of, or finding.
Possibly not dead. That may not be the blessing it sounds.
With this family, that unfortunately that doesn't surprise me. Whew.
Clockwork.
Oh.
Jindosh prototypes?
Oh dear, Delphine. Oh, you did not just make me think of that.
Think of what?
Somehow combining the two. Whatever it is they want to, they're into in terms of people, and then the clockwork on top of that, possibly literally.
I wouldn't worry so much about the clockwork on top of. I'd worry about clockwork inside.
On top of, inside, yeah. Just combine. Just ouch. Anyway,
ears are starting to turn up here.
Bad choice of words.
I see that things are being pondered in that head of yours, Miss Cree. Speak.
If it wasn't for the fact that these things were more often used as weapons, they would make very good prosthetics. As well as pockets.
Huh?
Pockets.
If you can hide something in a limb, why not?
Oh!
I think as long as the limb was already having to be replaced, but I don't think chopping off a limb just so that you could store your lunch in it seems a little bit frivolous to me.
The prosthetics is certainly a more benign application than what my...
Benevolent, even.
Yes! Which does not strike me as anything this family would be remotely interested in. Except maybe as a cover. Anyway.
Even then, that's going a little bit too far into things that people were not necessarily meant to poke at. You know what trouble they have over in the Bridge District. Speaking of, why did you terrorize the poor man?
That was another impulsive reaction to some poorly chosen statements.
Threats and knives. Alright, overly bluntness, which is threatening in a place like that, and knives.
Yeah, I can see the error with hindsight.
Don't turn knives on someone who is supposed to be watching your back. That's a good way to make sure they stop at a particularly inopportune moment. Do you want to be food?
There's actually a moment of cogitating there.
Before your time.
Ah, no.
I mean, I can understand that, you know, when your time is done, because everyone dies, if they're lucky, honestly, there'll be food for something. But do you want to be food before your time, and made so in a very painful manner?
Not particularly.
As I understand it, you've experienced something similar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it again?
A repeat experience would be bad.
Therefore, no knives on the people who are supposed to be watching your back.
Understood.
I hope you apologized. No.
No, she did not. She's like just getting that look of oops.
Right. Trying to think. We're going to have to work on invitations and the like. But you're probably going to need some sleep before you attempt this. And having you all gussied up before you go to sleep would just be ruining everybody's hard work. I'll deliver brownie bits, I suppose. And let Sophie know what she's in for and let her get some rest before she tackles this. You get some sleep. I understand you have things to pick up from a very terrified shopkeeper tomorrow, which might be of aid to you. And then you come back here in plenty of time where we should have for you your invitations, your aliases, and do give it several hours. We will feed you, but dresses, hair, makeup, something that matches your new friend, and in parrot, fuck the regent! Please don't say that at the party. What am I, stupid? Very well. Off you go, and if you fancy a drink of something a little bit less blinding than what Brian tends to have to offer, do feel free to avail yourselves of a bottle of wine from downstairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Off you go.
Yeah, out.
Quickly out the door.
Getting out of her way. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
that
Went so much better than I anticipated it would.
She's trying to be patient. You're new at this, and some of you were very recently dead, and at least one of you is visibly crazy. And although you guys probably want to mention that Fluffy is currently looking very, very distinct, and if Fluffy is going to be a noble's accessory, doesn't want to be seen on the shoulder of that. Because Delphine ain't done shit.
Yeah, I just before we. Like, I'm gonna be like raiding the food table before we leave.
Oh, there's so many lovely nibbles. And you've basically cleared out the cream-filled things, but
now I've moved on to anything resembling like seed stuff that I know parrot could consume, or a nut.
they have. I mean, they've got some nice sort of nut things, various nibble things on crackers,
and like whole nuts with overly fancy crunchers. I'm just taking nuts at this point.
So watching Delphine I've grabbed one of the bottles. Actually, grabbed one of the bottles and probably handed it to Jerrica, actually, and just sort of looking at Delphine and rummage. Delphine, Fluffy is rather distinct now, and if we're
at this particular stage, you have found a pomegranate, have split it open, and are feeding the seeds to Fluffy.
Yeah, like with the knife.
Yeah, her hands do look a little like a massacre at this point.
Oh boy. Well, as if you weren't distinct enough, which is an issue.
Well, she's got gloves, but which she probably isn't wearing at the moment, so she can just put those on and hide the stains. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's beside the point. I was using it as a further illustration. Fluffy is rather distinct now. We're supposed to be using Fluffy as part of disguises. We probably don't want Fluffy seen like this by anyone other than the people that are supposed to be seeing the disguise. In other words, make Fluffy something else temporarily, please.
Telepathically. Preferences? Smaller parrot? The raven again?
Raven's fine. I like to talk.
Going to focus and raven shift. Just better class.
Thank you.
And quietly, fuck the region.
Thank you, Fluffy.
Is Raven gonna find if there's anything a little bit in the way of
there
meaty left over?
There are sweetbreads.
Oh yeah, that's immediately getting snapped up.
Well,
now
that's
in
the
addition,
thing. Fluffy doesn't even wait. It's just doink.
Bird head down into sweetbread. Dunk.
Oh, how do you think ravens eat?
Yeah,
just swallows, and then it's finding Nemo / Dory seagulls. Mine. So it's mine, mine, nomp.
Oh God!
I didn't know a raven could burp. Anyway.
Anyway, I mean, it's probably better not to think about how Fluffy is doing this, since Fluffy is basically a spirit with like minimal hit points and no real digestive system, but fuck it, this is too much fun.
Like manifested magical void instead of stomach.
It's impossible to fill, so mine, no.
We should probably go get some sleep.
So we should.
I just turn around, hold up two of the cream puffs. Mine.
Yeah, you have completely cleared out the cream puffs, and there's if you want, there's various bits of really fancy cheeses for Holly.
That's all ending up in a pocket.
So you just watch Delphine basically just tilt an entire cheese tray into her pocket.
I'm looking. I the other tea tray, the other cheese tray, going.
And you hear as you're going. You hear a from one of the cards.
Just gonna carefully set the one I have down. Hold out an arm for Fluffy and walk back to the other bunch.
Jerrica has a really fancy bottle of wine.
Jerrica is the label, dubiously, as if she would know anything by the label.
That's the thing. It's that really Gothic lettering that makes it really difficult to even see what the words are on the label. So she's just what?
It'll be great.
If you say so.
So yes, back through the various bits, hopefully pocketing the bottle of wine that probably costs more than everything Jerrica owns times like 10. And back into the little room, and Holly comes out from under cushion. It's just...
Like, I'm going to scoop Holly up and go, I have cheese.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna set Holly onto the little table and just start producing cheese.
You've never seen such a happy little rat in your entire life.
Just this, oh my god, it's the food moment.
And Holly is going to eat herself into a coma.
It's going to be a little rat ball with little nubs, little paw nubs.
Well, that's the thing. You give a rodent enough food, they will eat themselves into a perfect sphere.
Yes, I've seen it done.
So yeah, Delphine probably knows enough not to just leave all of it there. Because...
Yeah, she's just watching her and just sitting there, sort of just casting beast speech and helping her pick and choose which ones she likes.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like, you know, for now you can give her like the tiniest cheese tray selection, you know.
Pretty much.
Like little crumbs off of each one.
and then tuck the rest of it away and just be, you know, more later. This way you don't have to go raiding your breakfast trays for anybody but Fluffy. Although from Holly you do get, there's a cat. It sits on the windowsill.
I'm going to need a moment.
You all right?
And I'm going to head out onto the roof.
What are
Try and
you?
find this cat.
Acrobatics check.
What are you? Okay.
Second, just gonna make sure I got this right.
It's a little bit of a scramble this time. But yeah, all of a sudden just Delphine is on the roof, and currently the cat is actually sitting on a corner of the roof doing the lick lick. Gives you the look.
Hello there.
Why are you talking?
Because I can.
Okay.
I have a friend in a certain space here that's a little concerned about you turning up on our windowsill.
I was just looking.
So long as you continue just looking, you're fine.
There's the clear hard in the way. I couldn't do anything anyway.
Just wanted to make sure we're understood.
We don't eat those anyway. Too dangerous.
Mm,
They're not all sick, but
enough are
yeah, so we don't eat those.
smart.
I be a cat.
We're
Cats are smart. What do you
that
think
you
I
are.
am, a dog?
Well, you're certainly not one of those puffy spherical ones.
There's not even a translation for that.
That's just disgruntled. So
Those I'd eat. If I could find any meat through all the fluff. I mean, this is Grebo, basically. This is gray, fluffy, one-eared, one-eyed, big, moggy bastard. This is like Jerrica in cat form.
now that being just this is the biggest cat she's seen in the area. So, do you run the place?
Pretty much.
If I could get you food, would you keep a lookout on things for me?
What kind of food?
Hmm.
There are traditionally the breakfast kippers.
Well, there's everything from kippers to occasionally, and I'm going to pull out one of the meat treats.
Sniff, sniff, sniff.
Have a try.
Sniff, sniff, sniff. Nymph. Innards. Humans eat innards?
Mm-hmm. A bit.
What am I looking out for?
The metal masks. And do I recall any defining things about the cultist types?
Not usually. The best you'd probably do is, I mean, for a cat, they tend to be pretty detail-oriented, particularly if they're living on the streets. People who don't look like they belong, who don't dress dirty enough, who don't smell dirty enough, that would be the main one for a cat. Ones that smell like they bathe more often.
People who don't smell like the street. People who smell too nice.
Oh yeah, we have them.
Whereabouts?
They walk around looking. They haven't found this spot yet. And
That's
I
good.
see the people who smell of street go in and come out smelling like street and rotted barley. And other things that burn my nose.
Yeah. There's a lot of that inside.
And sometimes there's scraps out back.
It's very good.
But the ones that smell like different kind of nose burning and sometimes flowers, plants, things.
And not the useful ones either.
Some of them I think. To be fair, soaps, if they're trying to make them scented, will smell like things like basil, rosemary, that kind of thing. And those are useful.
Yeah.
But it's the flowers that are not very useful most of the time.
Yeah. It's like maybe 3 that Delphine knows are actually useful, and the rest she just kind of writes off as meh.
But they don't come in there.
That's good.
They've decided that this is just a place where humans go to drink rotted barley squish.
That's good. Well, if you and your crowd keep an eye, I'll bring extra food.
And walks up and does the headbutt mine.
And I'm just gonna offer scritches.
Oh, it is nice.
Yeah. Those of us with limbs like these can reach all the nice places sometimes.
Mostly from humans, I get kicks
Um,
and thrown things, like your other human friend who tried to make with the climbing, and then there was flung thing. I saw that.
like the shoe.
Why would you cover your feet?
Our feet are squishy.
And this is to hold up the paw. Beans.
Fair enough. Think of it as more we had to make our own claws.
Well, no, I mean beans. We make our beans tough. The you know, the little toe beans.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. I figured that's what he was mentioning.
Shink. It shows the claws. And yes, I know you had to make your own claws, and they're made of metal, and you have to hide them. And it takes too long to pull them out of places.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you can kind of make your own out of other things.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Jerrica hasn't done this in this cat's presence that you know about.
So how did you see that?
There was a man.
Well,
he didn't really smell of the streets, but it smelled like he was trying to smell like the streets. And there was one who really didn't smell like the streets, and he was hanging around. And there wasn't a knife, and then there was a knife, except it wasn't really a knife. And then the floofy smelling man was
leaking.
No. Just dead.
Not leaking?
Just dead.
Yeah.
And then got dragged away and dumped down a sewer. I think he turned into food.
Yeah, fish food from the sound of it, given where the sewers dump out. Either that, or he made his way into that. Made his way down into the other the sewer breakages in the flooded district.
I don't know. I just know that he was around here, and then he was dead and not leaking, and then he was in the sewer thing.
There's someone else who has powers. Curiouser and curiouser. See, I can talk because I have a few tricks like that.
Okay.
Good luck. Stay as safe as you can. And I swear to you that you will get as much food as you need, or even as much as you want.
I am going to smack the rest of my colony around until they tell me things. Bounce, bounce, bounce.
And I'm going to similarly move back into the window.
Yeah, it's still kind of awkwardly. Delphine swings back into the window after about like 5 minutes of. I mean, you can't hear that because it's beast speech, but.
It's like Viola was standing at the window, kind of looking up and out with a.
Make me a perception check. See what you saw.
Okay, with a glass of wine in hand, just waiting for Delphine to come back. Just like, what the hell? But yes, perception check. 18.
You did see her apparently talking with this cat, but the expression on her face was not her usual. It was her I'm actually getting information face. But given that I mean, I know we started late, but we're around about the breakish kind of time, we'll take a quick break and then we'll discuss that and move on to getting you all prepped and gussied and things. And we're back with the Rat Queens having their watching, or well, Viola was watching anyway from the from the window as Delphine was having a conversation with the local cat king.
Jerrica's having her wine and just trying to relax.
Yeah, and yeah, obviously Viola has to move when. That's part of why it's a little bit awkward, because Delphine is like, it just gets down to the windowsill,
Yep.
but Viola's like, and she's like, whoa, grabs a drain pipe.
Oop. Sorry, Delphine. And without missing a beat, Viola just reaches over, grabs the glass, and hands it to Delphine. Just whoop. Boom.
Glass, head over to Holly.
Who's nibbling cheese and just the happiest rat in the world.
Thanks for pointing out the cat.
It's okay. Is the cat going to eat me?
Nope. Said that him and his colony don't do that.
Okay.
Because of the sick problem.
Oh, because of the poor sicky rats. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So you're all set. Boop.
No. You're not getting Holly away from that cheese anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I like the squishy one. Pointing at bit of brie.
Ooh. I'll get more of that then.
You should try some of it, because I noticed you had a triangle of it. Try it.
Yeah, I will.
Try it.
And yeah, that's happening. Just for the sake of Holly.
I mean, it's a really good brie. It's that buttery, creamy kind of. Isn't it good?
Yeah. Yes.
No. Anyway, yes. Sorry I interrupted, but good cheese.
Cheese. And then I'm going to look at Jerrica. We have competition.
Competition?
Well...
That, or make me a wisdom check, Delphine.
Yep. 9.
Competition, maybe protection. It sounds really weird, but he was stabbing somebody who smelled too nice for the area before he could get near the bar? Maybe?
Well, either that or
but you can't tell
some
which,
kind of
because that roll was not great.
either that or he's protecting the bar. I don't know. All I know is that someone with a blade made of the same stuff as your claw.
So there's someone else.
Get Jerrica's attention.
So there's someone else running around that can do things like we can do, is what you're saying.
But like quite a few, if any of the other rumors floating around are even remotely true. But
well, I mean,
given we exist and this new person exists, I wouldn't be surprised if there were whole bloody gangs full of magic users.
The thing is, you don't know if this person is new.
Who were you talking to on the roof?
The cat.
Oh, the cat.
That's what I saw. Delphine.
So, the cat told you there was a man on the street who killed someone with a witchcraft sword.
You could elaborate about what the cat smelled about the person that got dead.
The person who got stabbed was of the sort that smelled too nice for the street, too nice for the area. The kind of people fitting the best description I could give the cat for our cultist problem.
Well, if they don't smell like they're from the area, I mean, that doesn't necessarily make them a cultist. I mean, that just makes them someone who's not from the area.
Why would they?
Could have just been
You're-
someone
you're-
slumming it and they got
But at the
mugged.
same, yeah, but at the same time, either way.
Yeah, because to be fair, Jerrica, I don't think Jerrica would consider that. Yeah, she's probably seen a couple of nobles slumming it, but even they stay in safer areas. You know those places that want to look like slums, so that your wealthier individual can feel like they're having themselves a little bit of rough, but isn't
Right.
really. You're not anywhere in that kind of zone. This
We're in
is
the actual.
We're just
Okay.
shy of flooded district level, dilapidated,
Gotcha. Okay.
falling apart.
Yeah, okay. Well, although thinking on it, though, if they are in the area, a noble, quote-unquote, slumming it's not going to come this far in. So, yeah, they probably are cultists. Or at the very least,
They don't
they don't belong here. And we definitely
here,
don't want
and they
them.
are looking for something. That's not the first type of person who's been here of that nature. The cats have seen more than one person, like the one what got stabbed, clearly
Point-
out searching.
Okay.
And one of them got very swiftly eliminated. And I also may have made a bit of a deal with the cat colony, so they're going to be looking out for both the folks who would persecute us for being what we are, and
people who are probably
the other problem.
trolling, and people who are probably trolling the area looking for human sacrifice.
So the cat didn't have anything else to say about this man who could use witchcraft.
You didn't know
What
what
they look
questions
like.
to ask, so
How was I supposed to know what to ask?
That's fair. No, that's fair. Well, we know they're around, and they're apparently at least in this
I'm
act, benevolent.
I'm going to
In
ask
theory.
about them next time I meet up with the
Alright.
resident king.
Oh, okay. And you made a deal. What kind of deal?
They need food and protection. I can offer solid swabs both. I mean, if you want to be part of those who are providing them with the stuff, sure.
They're acting in our interests. Why not? It's only fair.
yeah, incidentally, there's a thump at the windowsill, and seriously, big bastard, one-eyed, one-eared cat just sort of looks in the window, almost seems to grin, and then just bounce away.
Oh my!
That one be in charge of the entire local colony. I'm going to see about finding every single colony in this city if I have the time.
I like him. I have never seen anything so fiercely dignified, I think is the word I would use. That's an image that's going to linger.
From Fluffy, that's 2 words.
Right. Makes mental note of that cat for potential later use.
Well, if you want a distraction, it's probably better than swarms of rats.
Just unleash Kitty.
Jerrica, just imagine Jerrica chugging the rest of her wine,
Just
getting
nope.
looks from Viola like, you don't chug this. What are you doing?
Meanwhile, I'm just going through some of the bits of cheese with the wine.
And weirdly, Delphine's doing it right.
Because I have all this cheese, and not all of it is going to be able to fit inside of Holly. So,
Well, it does keep. You just need to find a bag and a shelf.
yeah, I just need to be careful with storage. And well, since we're sharing. So,
And so you've got Delphine just basically offering cheese.
Yes,
Just
actually,
right.
quite. Viola will sit down quite happily with Delphine and Holly and the bottle of wine and have some cheese and wine. Yes, why not?
I'm gesturing to Jerrica at this point. Seriously, try this stuff. It is amazing.
Jerrica snatches a piece.
Look, this is the first time this is the first thing that's felt remotely normal in since any of this started.
Except for the various bits of ballroom.
Well, yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my normal.
Food. Why are you so grumpy?
Jerrica eats her cheese.
Viola refrains from mentioning what's still currently at stake.
Well aware, just like trying to derail the brooding.
Anyway, cheese and wine night happens.
Girls' night.
No, girls' afternoon comes later because you guys are effectively having like spa day.
Oh my fucking god, we are ridiculous. We're
Well-
stabby and ridiculous.
Well, that's exactly what's happening, though.
Look, leverage takes time to prepare.
In any case, yes, no, the cheese, wine, it all feels very complicated for Jerrica. I mean, yeah, some of it's nice, but it's complicated and weird. And, sleep does eventually happen, and you get the usual bam bam on the door and open it, and there's your general tray of, like, scrambled eggs and kipper.
Timing. I'm going to ask if there's any extra. I'm going to be the one to try to answer this time and ask if there's any extra kippers.
He's sort of almost at the stairs when you turn around and announce this, and turns around and goes, I'm gonna want an extra 3 coppers a serving.
Sure. And I'm actually going to produce one of the gold we were given.
Mm-hmm. You do realize that the other 2 is going for your to be picked up bone charm, right? But you had money to begin with, so that's fine.
Yeah, I still have some money on hand to use for that. That's what I was keeping that on hand for. I just wanted to make double sure I had kippers going.
Okay.
For lands.
Continue. You've offered a gold, and this guy's like, you're not really used to seeing that much in the way of gold.
Looking for more of a steady supply.
Do you want it brought to the room?
Yeah.
Okay, so how much extra per day are we talking here? Because that's 3 coppers a serving. That I'll throw in the extra, so that's 34 servings you get from this. So, how many per day? Because I'm not bringing 34 servings of kippers up here.
I would never dream of asking something that
And you said a steady
overblown.
stream, so a steady stream and 34 of how much?
Yeah, I'm basically just trying to. I'm trying to roughly math out what I can guess for the cat colony.
Well, you don't know how many.
It's basically
I mean,
like just based on the area, really, just so really rough math.
well, your serving a kipper does come with like. So I mean, they're not very big fish, so it's like a half dozen. So you could let me think about this. So you're looking at a little over 200 kippers in total.
Yeah.
And you could probably get away with like say 10 a day ought to be enough to sweeten things for the king and whoever, because that's the thing, you know enough about cat behavior in that, yeah, they share. I mean, you can flake it up so that they're not getting bones as well, and that'll spread things out a bit more, but you know the king is going to take his fair due, so
He's gonna get his cut first.
Yep. And yeah, so 10 a day should probably be fine. But given that you've got the extras coming in, you could probably have, 10 plus the one extra hole for the king.
So yeah, enough servings to be about 10 extra kippers plus a whole one.
Okay, I can about manage that whole one. Do you want it raw? Probably.
Yep.
And it's pretty clear this guy knows what you're doing. It's like, is it gonna keep them out of my trash bins?
I could certainly add that to the
I mean, as long as they don't
discussion.
knock over my trash bins, I don't mind so much. But too much clattering too bloody early in the morning.
I'll see what I can set up.
Just say yes.
I'll go see about some extra kippers then. Stomp. And you guys heard this entire
There were a few
slide back
during
in.
that. You could have just said yes to the trash can question. Would have been a simpler answer.
And then from Fluffy, it's cats.
I have to make a deal there.
Cats don't like taking orders. Cats are independent.
Fair.
Cats like causing silly just for the sake of it. It is a beautiful morning, and you are a horrible cat. Tilted head thinking about it. No, you are a normal cat, which is default state horrible. I could be a cat for a day. I could knock things over and headbutt things. It would be neat. But today I get to be a parrot. Later.
Delightful parrot.
Yes.
When we get to sorting disguise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, breakfast is served. Well, brunch really, because you guys tend to bed late, up late. You are. It's weird for Jerrica. She's becoming very distinctly nocturnal. Probably a little weird for Viola too, but Delphine is used to it.
has pulled all-nighters, either catching
Well, no, she's
on the
she's just used to working in the evening hours because you're not disturbing people as much.
Plus, all-nighters on the papers.
Yes, that too. But
And then, yeah. Right. So breakfast, and then we see that poor, hopefully less terrorized today, at least until we walk in, which actually that begs the question, should we all three walk in, or should just one of us talk with him, or...
I can
The
go in
rooms
and
are
try to
for-
apologize at least.
You
Speaking
can
of
apologize by
apologies,
paying him. And
speaking of apologies, I'd like to say sorry about that whole debacle, Jerrica. I'm not good with people.
and all of a sudden you realize not good with people, and yet she wants to walk in and apologize when Viola's like, "Why don't I just go?"
Why don't I just go in?
Okay.
all right.
So, yeah, but failing anything else, breakfast happens, and because you want to give Sophie adequate time to do things with various people's hair and makeup and lots of other things, you head out more or less directly to that nice little shop in the Bridge District. How far are you guys going, and what precautions are you taking? Because Viola can just, I look like I belong here.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say.
Yes. That's why I didn't ask you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was for...
No,
Not.
you,
Gotcha.
The two
Just-
that well, Delphine can probably pull it off better than most. But Jerrica, without some Sophie-related work, is there's only certain places where she blends in.
I'm gonna try to sort of at a remove from the other two and try to imitate what I've seen couriers do.
Yeah,
I'm trying to deliver something and I really don't want to be like, get out of my way, please.
yeah, you did do that last time, if memory serves me. So I'll let you have that one, Jerrica.
Jerrica just keeps an eye out for anyone giving her a second look, especially in a guard uniform. And
Not so much guard uniforms, but she's getting a lot of look.
don't know what she can do. I just launches her shoulders, keeps walking. And she's gonna pause. So I'm not gonna just walk into the shop if people are staring right at her.
Yeah,
So, pause a block away.
And if you can find a shadowy alley, you can literally disappear.
Exactly.
Is before disappearing and doing the, okay, where's the shop I need to be in? Where's the shop I need to be delivering in? Looking around from the play acting Delphine. Before any of that happens, are you actually going to give Viola the money to pay for your butcher?
I'm going to try and hand that off while doing the rotating.
Now we roll the hand of fate. Yeah, no, you were stupid enough not to do that before you left. Both of you. And it's at least partially Viola's fault because she didn't ask.
Yeah, probably. And if I
Sleight
have
of
the sense to
hand-
realize that by then.
Sleight of hand check from both Jerrica and Delphine. It's
19.
a little more awkward in Jerrica's case, but money changes hands relatively subtly. And now it's up to Viola.
And into the shop I go.
Yeah, the gentleman is at his counter. He looks up at Viola and goes very, very pale until he realizes that the other two are not with her.
Thought it best for them to wait elsewhere. Again, my apologies for them. They're not good.
You like a bit of rough, I understand.
Leaving it, and she was like, "I'm leaving it that."
Yeah, I've got your bits and pieces. I did not like making that one for your other friend, but give me a perception check, Viola.
1 moment. 21.
Yeah, there's some burns and healing cut on his hand and up his arm.
Oh.
Recent. And given that might have had something to do with making a certain charm.
She visibly winces a bit. And just,
if you want that kind of thing again, I'm not taking any more commissions for another week.
It's understood. Thank you for the efforts spent.
And comes up with 3 cloth wrapped bundles. That one's yours. That one's for the Morley woman. The third isn't cloth wrapped. The third is in a hinged wooden box. That one's for the animal lover with the knives.
She also wanted to apologize in person, but I insisted that I come in myself. But she's appropriately contrite.
Given that perception check, you do see him cut eyes to his hand and arm. She'd best be.
I'll...
Just...
Yeah, and payment is made, and I'll... It's not my money, so...
Don't... Just... Next time.
Okay. And quickly out the door to start heading back to the direction that I left them.
And you guys do sort of meet back up and get out of districts that are getting Jerrica some looks.
Yeah, everything's staying on my person until we do so. And find an alley or something we can step off to the side.
Yeah, it's a few minute walk, but you find an appropriate alley.
And I'll hand Jerrica hers and turn to Delphine, pulling the box out. The damage he had to do to himself to do this. And when I said that you were appropriately contrite about the knife pulling, his exact words were, and I quote, "She damn well better be." And I agree. And if we need anything like that, it won't be for another week.
I'm looking at the box. That's very understandable.
And you open it, and the charm is there, but all 3 of you can feel it. The air around it. It's not huge, but the air around it is, for those who are sensitive enough to it, ever so slightly cold.
Viola takes a half step, just not really, not even a half step, really, just sort of leans back a little bit, just just like, that's yours.
Yeah, when she gets it on her person and it properly acclimates to her, it's more or less okay, but that thing is fucking creepy. And
yeah,
let's face it, bone charms are creepy enough as it is, but even for bone charms, those are fucking creepy.
Yeah, the black bone charms. They sing just a little bit more.
You're muted again.
I've put mine where it needs to be to do the thing, and right. We need to give Sophie as much time as possible, so we should make our way there with what haste we can.
Yeah, Fluffy's been doing the lamppost thing and keeping enough, close enough so that can be in contact with Delphine, but far enough so that it's not suspicious.
Jerrica nudges Delphine before they step out of the alley and looks very pointedly to whatever pocket she's put hers in, to the black one in, and mutters to her, be careful with things like that. What the outsider's giving us, it tends to come with a cost.
All costs are fair trade.
Okay. Shrugs a shoulder and keeps walking.
From the point of view of having a fairly good idea of how Jerrica operates, all I can say is, no. For her, that's kind of sweet. Yeah. So yeah, with that bit of unusual warning, thus given, you head out for the warehouse, which is back in its more bustling form. They've put out the finger sandwiches and everything for what would be a today they seem to be doing more the lawn party lunch kind of training, as it were. So it's polite conversation and there's a certain amount of pickpocketing going on.
Like little crowds set up.
Yeah,
Leaving.
little lawn tables, and the buffet is all like finger sandwiches and crudités and that kind of thing.
Viola just sees that and just kind of nods in memory. Just yes. I think I painted it pretty much like this.
Yeah, and all you guys see is little tables and little sandwiches with the crusts cut off, and you're pretty sure that one's got very little in it but cucumber and watercress.
It's not. That's food. That's not food.
It's rabbit food.
That's. Wow.
Let's go see.
I mean, there's others. Delphine is discovering the interesting things you can do with eggs. It's like they boiled them, and then they scooped out the yolk, and then they mashed up the yolk with like some kind of spices, it looks like, and then put it back into the egg.
And I'm going to try this.
It's a double.
I know what these are.
Yes.
That's a deviled egg.
Holly would love these.
Well, if there's any left by the time we leave, well, we won't be going back. We'll be going straight on. Never mind.
Maybe next time. They're a fixture at teas and lawn parties.
Delphine, make note of some of what you would like to bring Holly, and not this time, but at another time we'll make sure to do so.
The guards are watching the usual buffet shenanigans, and they turn around and go, "Ah, so you've turned up for a word with Sophie. We have been asked to leave Miss Redda until last. It's going to take her the longest.
Understood. So
you're gonna be quickest." Turning to Viola.
Yes.
Like you know the way.
Yes, I'll make my way. So she'll do exactly that.
Sophie has set up. I mean, it's one of the proper makeup tables, and she's gone the whole 9 yards. So she's brought out like everything. flat iron for the hair and the heated curling tongs and the potions and powders and things that you haven't been able to get hold of. We've seen used, but never really knew the secrets of application. It's a whole different kind of art that you've kind of wanted to get into, but
Oh, this is yeah. She's looking both in both admiration and not a fair bit of not a small bit of envy that that her obvious talent.
and she's like,
To
I hope you don't mind that I tend to talk a little bit when I do these things. I tend to try to explain what's going on and what I'm doing. And
Oh yes, please. I'm an artist myself. I always wanted to delve more into this. Never had the opportunity. I would love for you to share how you work and what you do. This is
she sort of looks and then, you're an autumn. That means you go for more russety tones, browns, certain shades of green. You're one of the few people who can get away with a certain shade of orange. Which is where we'll be. That's the thing, because we need to tilt a little bit more toward the yellow end of the scale. Brings out some of the more gold of your complexion, and you know that you may. I do apologize, but you may have been accused of looking ever so slightly sallow. Well, we're going to make that into a golden tinge.
And Viola's just got this look like I'm in the hands of an artist. But she does say, "I'm going to enjoy being your canvas."
And she does just explain everything that she's doing as she softens that really hard cheekbone you've got and gives your face a little bit more of an oval rather than that really narrow kind of look that it's got. Brings out the lips a little bit and it does the hair, sort of framing your face a bit more to give it a bit more softness, and is explaining that this is what she's trying to do. You're trying to get away from governess and into something a little bit more approachable. And
at various points, it's probably a little difficult because Viola cannot help but just beam, just grinning from ear to ear, because it's like she's an artist like me. This is beautiful. I love this moment. Oh my god! So she keeps having to like, so she could get to do the thing because she's
yeah. She's apparently figured out how to work around that, but largely she brings out the eyes, and it's you'd think they were just your average brown, but there are some sort of golden flecks in there that I want to enhance. And now before you look at the finished product, here is the dress that you'll want for this evening. For you, we couldn't do anything but velvet. We're starting to get into a cooler time of year, so we do have something with a bit more in the way of sleeve. But that swan-like neck, we really need to enhance a little bit more, so it's cut sort of across the shoulders. Here you go, and it helps you into it. She's stayed away from corsets. You don't need them. You've got that narrow frame. And she stands you in front. She tells you to close your eyes, stands you in front of a full-length mirror, and then bids you open them. And you do just look.
And Viola literally just basically mentally scans herself from head to toe, because this is an image that she is going to keep. Even if she doesn't use it, she wants to keep it, because holy hell, it's like ideal. It's damn near ideal Viola in this moment.
It's ideal. She looks like nobility.
It's
100%.
So this is the Viola that she always wanted to be. This is what, like, trying to be nobility. This was it. This is like, and
at which point she, when you're done with your scanning, she takes you into one of the smaller rooms, And what she set up is another full-length mirror, a canvas, and some paints. It's going to take me a while with the other two, so I thought you might have time to, if you want to capture that in more than just your imagination.
If I didn't think I would ruin any of your work, I would hug you so hard right now.
It's waterproof as well. It won't smudge.
Because she's a little...
Yes. Remember, I have to do this for people who will have to be running around and getting all sorts of mess.
Understood. Bless you so much. And yeah, she will see to and just start.
Get started, and she apparently decides to it steps up and taps Delphine, who's probably still rummaging the nibbles.
Just still confused by it.
I would have sent I would have sent Viola up for you, but she's a little bit busy. I'll show you what with. But is Jerrica going to be all right? You must be Jerrica. Hello, Sophie.
Afternoon.
Yes, we can do things with that. Yeah, that's fine. Good. But we'll start with Delphine. We're going from less time taken to most time taken. So, if you'd like to come with me, don't worry. I promise it will not hurt, and I will try not to babble at you.
And I'm just sort of amusedly following, because I remember the lovely conversation last time.
And she does sort of gesture to the room where Viola is currently painting. And she looks. For a minute, you don't recognize her, but she tilts her head a certain way, and she's like, "Oh, wow."
And I've got like Fluffy sitting right on the shoulder as I'm doing like a Scooby Stack type thing out the. Wow.
That's all Fluffy saying, but telepathically, I don't want to interrupt her. Do you want to interrupt her?
I do not. Let's go.
And Fluffy perches on like a clothes rack while Sophie works her magic on Delphine, which we're going to have to go a little bit more in the realm of Karnaka exotic for you, I think.
Yeah, if I'm given a little bit of time, if the idea Lady Hepzibah had was to contrast with, and I'm going to turn Fluffy to parrot.
Well, I also meant because of your particular skin tone.
Yeah.
It's moderately common here, but not generally speaking in the nobility, so you would have to be an exotic lady from far off lands. So we're looking at silks, gold embroidery, and hairpiece with feathers to match Fluffy.
Just.
Yeah. And she sits Viola down because she sits Delphine down, and obviously Delphine keeps her hair short, so it's since it's black now, she just attaches a false piece to the back and does it in a kind of an updo, which she weaves in with sort of feathers and gems and things. And again, she brings out the eyes, brings out the lips, comes out with this red silk dress that's, there's for Delphine, it's like there's no shoulders, there's no sleeves, there's just cleavage.
She's just trying to figure out where on earth would the armor even go in this.
Yes, unfortunately, you are not going to be able to wear your normal protective gear. You can hide some bits in your hair, some down your décolletage, but you will also be wearing these, and she brings out these silk gloves, white, that go all the way up past the elbow. And hold out your arm, we're gonna have to button hook these.
Just holding out arm.
Yep.
Still very baffled.
One, then the other, and then she, again, she gets Delphine to close her eyes and turns her around, gets her to open them in front of the full-length mirror, and she looks like Karnakan royalty.
What? I could replace the Duke wearing this. What?
Well, you have to be a little bit flashier if you look like you're from elsewhere, they won't take you as seriously.
Am I still going to be able to carry things?
Your dress has pockets. You've got one of those dresses which is sort of ruching around the skirt, so it's lots of different layers, and there are pocket places and things. And again, you can tuck some bits. Lockpicks go well in the hair. Just be careful you do not free the hairpins, or else your hairpiece is going to fall off, and that's going to be a problem. Go show Viola. She will be very appreciative.
Okay. And I'm just still, as I'm walking, I'm just still trying to process, where the hell am I going to hide the knives?
And you get a little knock on the door frame, and you look up, and first you think, wow, okay, why do we have Karnakan nobility? And wait, no, that's
I look like I just walked out of a party at the Duke's palace, don't I?
You look amazing!
At which point Sophie goes, could you please bring Jerrica down once you've shown Viola?
What?
Sure. And I'm headed up.
Go.
Yeah, by this time you've got the basics down. You can put a bit more of the detail work on, but you're obviously not going to finish tonight. But you're a quick worker as well as a talented one. So
I would give to be able to sketch out that quickly.
well, she's had a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mostly imagine Delphine going, first I'm going to turn up and surprise Jerrica, then I'm going to tell her to go look in on Viola. So yeah, what Jerrica gets is being approached by, okay, this can't actually be Karnakan Delphine.
Jerrica does it double take, gawks a bit.
Yeah, because parrot on shoulder. Doing the thing.
That sure is something.
And now it's your turn. Also, you should see what Viola's doing before.
Well, it's also looking at Viola, because Viola really needed to have her face shape changed in a way that Delphine didn't so much, just because she's got that slightly sallow, really strong cheekbone governess kind of look usually.
Like that razor edge.
Yeah. I mean, you see the picture.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm going to, as I'm leading Jerrica down, I'm gonna just indicate where Viola is doing the painting and just sort of let her, just sort of make sure she goes and sees for herself.
Yeah, I mean, for a minute you can't. I mean, Delphine was a little easier because she's got the skin color. Just because of the various makeup tricks and changes, for a minute you don't recognize Viola.
Jerrica relaxes a little bit after looking over Viola, less ostentatious to a point.
I mean, it's still pretty ostentatious, but she doesn't have to go as far when you're not, not dealing with a black person. And Sophie's, Jerrica, come have a seat.
I need to watch this.
Jerrica shoots Delphine a look.
Yeah, it takes a while. It really does take a while because she hasn't brushed her hair properly in a while. And it
The
needs...
sea foam's stiffening. It's like a rock.
And yeah, there's a certain amount of, let's be charitable and say accidental dreadlocks? Because they're not just knots anymore. But she does have this stuff that, does smell of figs, and she manages it without hurting Jerrica. It just takes time. And then there's a certain amount of trimming for split ends' sake, and then there's curling iron, and then there's the makeup. There's an awful lot of makeup involved in this, and yeah, she's trying desperately not to say anything because she knows Jerrica just doesn't want to hear it. She's keeping Jerrica away from the mirror as much as possible at this point.
Jerrica's trying not to look surly.
She doesn't seem to mind the facial expression or lack thereof, because that actually just makes it easier for me to work. Okay, we need to bring out the cheekbones a little bit. You do have lovely eyes, though. Brings those out a little bit. And looks her over and comes out with it's even less ostentatious than Viola's black velvet. I mean, it's silk, it's black, it's got a similar sort of ruching that will allow knives to be hidden, but there's also kind of a silver blue bolero jacket-ish kind of thing that goes over the top where she can tuck some other bits and pieces in. And then she just sort of turns Jerrica around, and the hair is curled and sort of half up, and there's not a sign of a scar. She does not look remotely sea-weathered anymore. At least not until she washes the makeup off. But it's not that feeling of having your pores clogged up either, so whatever she's using, it's some good shit. But she's all eyes and lips, and that little bolero jacket thing does actually bring out the front a little more. But she can move, and there's no corset.
Jerrica leans a bit closer to the mirror.
Just how hard you rub.
If I ever need a husband, I know who to go to first.
I think I might be flattered. Oh, sorry, you meant anyway.
Oh god, you put her in a power suit.
Kind of, but there's it's more of a full skirt, but that's actually helpful because if you need to run, you can just sort of... She does actually demonstrate how if you need your hands free, but you also need your skirts hiked up, that you can kind of there's little hidden spots in in some of the decorative bits around about the waist where you can actually hitch the skirts up a little bit, and she has offered some fairly sturdy stockings which, while they won't be seen unless there needs to be running, are also protective of the modesty, so you're not flashing garter everywhere. More like leggings than anything else. But they won't show because the long skirts. So yeah, that's Jerrica in her... Sophie did desperately try to keep it as unostentatious as possible, but she was for Delphine, she was having to accessorize with exotic and parrot. And for Viola, she was having to compensate for an awful lot of governess-looking facial feature. But yeah, for Viola, it's mostly going to be looking at Jerrica's face, and the weathering and the scars are gone.
It's like a completely different person.
No, she's still. That's the thing. The other thing Sophie managed to do was to keep Jerrica looking. I mean, it was a balancing act, but she did say, I wanted to make sure that your face at least would be recognizable to one who maybe hasn't seen you in a while. So clearly she understands a little bit about the mission. She didn't want to make Jerrica look unrecognizable to her own daughter. But yes, you might want to break Viola out of artist fugue. She wanted to paint what...
Right then.
And I need to tidy up, but do thank her for the little brownie things. They were wonderful. And thank you for being so patient. That was a marvelous challenge, and I know you hated every minute of it, and it was good of you to be so patient.
You're the one doing me a favor. It's only fair.
That's my job. It's not your job to be patient. It's your job to do whatever it is that needs doing, I suppose.
That's right.
Anyway, off you go, and have a lovely time. You probably want to speak to Lady Hepzibah just to make sure that everything is in as much place as it's going to be. Also, possibly to show off the better job I do, the more of a bonus I get for this.
I'm sure she'll be much reassured at the sight.
Reassured is good. Impressed would be better.
No, I mean reassured in the sense of
I know.
our dispositions.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're not the one with the words, and the one who has the words is currently in the more picture phase. It's fine. You don't have to verbally reassure me. I just really want you to show off to her. Anyway, go. I know you have things to do, and I know it's very important. And starts tidying things up. But as I say, you're probably going to have to drag Viola away from her little easel with a crowbar.
As we're
Sure,
leaving, I'm going to have
do
Fluffy.
Sorry.
As we're leaving, I'm going to have Fluffy mention. I guess I'm going to have Fluffy mention something about pirate treasure, or sort of a Yarheart. You turned us into treasure.
To be fair, yeah, to be fair, it's you'd sort of get buried treasure in humans. Look at that. And then just to keep Delphine happy, dead men tell no tales.
Sort of a vibrating near squee as I'm just letting Jerrica deal with the Viola crowbar situation.
Yeah. So Jerrica says Viola's still painting.
Jerrica clears her throat loudly.
Nope.
And then grabs her shoulder.
Dex save.
$20.
There was enough sense on Jerrica's part not to grab your shoulder while the paintbrush was on. And so, I mean, you were starting to reach towards that, but you had the control. When you felt a touch on your shoulder, I cannot mess this up. It just freeze. Turn around, and for a minute, well, a second really, you think this is a complete stranger, and then it... But because again, she's kept it so Jerrica's recognizable.
Yeah.
But you haven't known her very long, so you were first looking at the scar and the weathered, and then...
Oh, you're undamaged. Sorry.
So.
Not sorry. Bad choice of words. Sorry. You never tap an artist on the shoulder when they're in their work. You nearly made me mess up.
Sophie sends her regards, and we have
Of course.
an
Yeah, right.
appointment with Lady
Right.
Hepzibah.
Right. Okay. 2 seconds, and I will tidy everything up and as it should be, and you know,
Yeah, you're
Uh,
at a
yeah.
state in the painting where you
it can
you
stop.
yeah, you can pick it up with minimal
Mm-hmm.
issues. But of course, as you're walking up the stairs, a big question is, where are you going to put it?
I have no idea.
And at this point, you don't much care.
No, I really don't. I really don't. Like,
It's enough to create it.
walk. Yeah, basically, it was like walk, pop. Looking back at where the hell am I going to put? You know what? The hell with it. Keep going.
And yeah, catch up with Delphine, and they're. It's been a while, so we've moved out of lunch phase and into more dinner phase. But they've actually phased that into a sort of a banquet situation. So it's more dinner foods and dinner conversations and fishing out blackmail material and that kind of thing.
As we walk over to this, I'm assuming stairs
Mm.
to get to where Lady Hepzibah is, I just kind of do a look across the room just to see if there's anybody, like see if I happen to recognize the one I danced with that one time, and the one that was trying to tutor her, because if I do, just kind of give a just a little nod and wave.
They're apparently either on break or off on another assignment because you're not seeing them. And you get up and you have Lady Hepzibah look up. To her credit, not a change in facial expression, just, oh, Sophie's got a bonus. Quite the bonus. I take it that went moderately well?
Yes. Yes.
And looks at Delphine.
That went wonderfully.
Right.
And then Fluffy doing the buried treasure in humans dead men tell no tales thing.
Speaking of dead men telling no tales, hands Jerrica a further piece of paper. This one is actually a sketch of Lord Cyril de Montfort. Your target. Your secondary target. I won't. For me, it'd be the primary target, but I do understand priorities are as they are.
Thank you.
Another sketch, this one for Viola and Delphine. Fairly ornate necklace. Sort of almost a filigree effect leading down to a large heart-shaped gem in the center. That'll be on display somewhere in the upper levels. First floor, which for you guys is second floor. Sorry, I can't do it.
Do I recognize the gem cut or the filigree thing in any way whatsoever?
Why would you?
Just from earth science fancy rocks, basically.
It's a sketch. If it's cut like that, then it's not going to be in any sort
So
of.
I have no idea what actually color rock this is, just that it's heart shaped.
It's distinct enough a piece of jewelry that you'll be able to identify it when you see it, but there wasn't really a necessity for color and bits and pieces.
Gotcha.
They've sketched it enough to be this is your target.
Yes.
We do have 2 serving individuals from our end working matters. We do not have anyone else attending in a guest capacity. You 3 have taken our invitations in that regard.
Right.
Um, with regards to the necklace, if we can get out with it ourselves, I'm assuming that would be fine, because then we can just deliver it. If for some reason it requires handing off, would we be able to hand it off to one of these two?
You
Or
could,
should
but
we not do that?
you could, but people tend to suspect servants a little bit more. They will identify
True.
themselves to you in a surreptitious way at the time.
Okay.
I would, however, keep in mind that while you're discussing handing off to someone, glances at Fluffy. You have someone who can talk to any animal and cut a deal anytime they want, even if they don't have their shoulder accessory fly off
Point.
somewhere for a while. You can simply leave it in a convenient drop-off spot.
Very good point. Very good point. I'm still. Thank you.
You're learning,
We're learning each other.
and you are not from a walk of life that's required this particular skill set before. Given your aspirations, this is probably the best kind of education you could possibly have.
Certainly the best teacher.
I do my best. And hands an invitation. Lady Cecilia Caldwell. This is to Viola.
Ah. Okay.
Lady Anastasia Payne. Hands it to Jerrica. You'd have to go by a married name, all things considered. Lady Lupita Hunter for Delphine.
I didn't do that.
Lady Caldwell and Lady Hunter will be attending together. Lady Hunter is visiting a pen friend from a long ago holiday, let's say. You're keeping care of her while you're returning the visiting favor. We do have transportation for all three of you, but both sets. Obviously, they're not going to be coming in from the same place, just to be on the safe side. So, once you go out the main entrance, if you two could head east 2 blocks, and you head west 1, there'll be a carriage in each place. Coat of arms on the door. In your case, blue and bronze checky flanked with lions. You with red and gold checky flanked with unicorns. So, Jerrica gets the unicorns, you guys get the lions. One last thing. I know that you're good at what you do and you have certain abilities that make you even better. However, understand that if you are captured, I hope you know what we expect you to say about why you're there and what not to mention if you happen to be apprehended.
Of course.
Understood.
Very well, no more needs to be said about that. Best of fortune to you. I'll expect a report tomorrow, but I do have one other question. Assuming success, because to do elsewise is impolite. Your daughter, where are you going to take her?
I'm not sure yet. I understand upon success that there's a debt owed even when you've provided fair payment, and not just a debt to you. Looks back and forth. So if payment were to continue for future services rendered, I give fair consideration to staying in Dunwall.
Well, for the time being, I was more thinking something to the order of, I imagine that even that parlour room I keep hearing about in the no-name inn is probably getting a little crowded by this point. There could be arrangements for a second, smaller room in which a mother and daughter might be able to temporarily house themselves until and unless other arrangements can be made. I mean, depending on how well you acquit yourselves here, I might be able to make some negotiations and get the entire top level of that building as a sort of a home for your use. So I could charm the backdoor key out of him. That depends on how willing you would be to stay in Dunwall. But it would give you a certain level of security. I understand there's a bit of a vigilante keeping some of the less mind your own sorts of individuals at bay, so that's something.
I would ask you about that another day.
And I only have bits of information. He's not one of ours, I'll tell you that much. But I'll say this. He is one of the last people who's going to be coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
So, before you leave, a question: should I open negotiations in that vein? Would you be willing to stay?
Yes.
All right, I will start that off while you go and see about a party. You haven't had quite the lessons on manners that some people have, so I suppose follow Viola's lead and try to get it done with a minimum of fuss.
That is the idea.
No more blood flies.
Understood.
Going to do that, do something that's not going to get the entire place burned.
Jerrica considers that thought, refrains from comment.
I have a few thoughts.
2 of our people are in there.
Emmy is going to be in there.
We'll be as quiet as all possible.
Very well. Fortune favour you. And on that note, we'll leave it there, and next week...
Next week, party time!
We get to activate the suspense music out of the OST.
Something
Oh,
along those
Lord.
lines. Right up,
Anyway.
right up until something goes incredibly wrong and more knives have to come out. Anyway, I will talk to you all next week. Bye.